Today we're going to try out an experiment. So the question is, when you're flying VFR, how steep should your approach to the runway be? Right, you're turning downwind, you're turning base, you're turning final. When you're on that final approach, how steep should your angle be? And the biggest question there, in most training aircraft, is can you make it to the runway if the engine dies? So I wanted to run some tests here in the sim and just see what kind of an angle you get off of the VASI lights that give you your visual glide path. And my expectation is that if I turn off the power, we will not be able to glide to the runway. Now for this first one, I'm in a Baron. This is the Reality Expansion Pack Baron in X-Plane 10. Sorry, X-Plane 11. So I'm at a relatively high airspeed. The airplane's capturing, and I'm slowly going to reduce the power. I'm going to give the airplane every advantage. We're going to leave the gear up, flaps up. We'll have nothing to slow us down. Okay, the power's at idle now. See the airspeed's dropping quite a bit, but it's doing a good job staying on the glide slope. Now we're going to bring the props back to feather to get the minimum amount of drag, and the engines are off. So this airplane has every possible advantage. And the airspeed's still dropping. Now, if it's possible, the airspeed should drop until it gets near best glide speed, and then it should be able to continue on and actually make it to the runway. But like I said, I don't expect it to be able to do it. And my whole point in showing you this is that the ILS glide path, which is coincident with the visual glide path, so both of these glide paths are not adequate for a single engine airplane getting on final approach. Because if you're out here on, this is 2-3 mile final, and your engine quits, there's nowhere to go. And this is a good example at this airport, Chester County Airport, because there's all these steel mills in this town here. There's, maybe a field here that's half reasonable, but there really isn't much. Even though we're surrounded by farmland in the distance, there really isn't anything to use in this area. And as you can see, we're at VSO here, or just above it. The autopilot is actually disengaged, but I think the point is proven that you can't make it. At least in this airplane. So we're going to run this test again with a 172. Now we're in a Cessna 172. Same situation. Just intercepting the glide slope here. I know I'm a little bit above it. But again, I've given it all the advantages. Just like the Baron, there's no payload weight, so it's as if nobody's in the plane flying it. Minimum fuel, and we're gonna see if we can make it down there just gliding. And I'm already above the glide slope, so it's almost as if, if you're on that steeper approach and you're way above the glide slope, then you will have the energy to make it at some point. The question is, where is that? How high do you really have to be? We're going to try right here. I know best glide speed in this plane is somewhere around 63. Got some trim in there. Flaps are up. It's a fixed gear, so of course the gear is down. Power is now idle. And even at power idle, I don't think we could make it, let alone with the engine stopped. Okay, the engine stopped. We're approaching best glide speed. It's kind of hard to see, but in the distance there we do have 2 white, 2 red, looks like. Yeah. Too white, too red. Airspeed's now at 60. We're going a little below the glide slope. So I'm not going to do anything too dramatic to get back there, because that would sort of mess up the test. You see the speed's getting lower and lower. And at this point, as we get below best glide speed, now our drag is going to start getting higher and higher, which is really working against us. See the nose coming up there, our angle of attack is getting very high. It's adding a lot more induced drag to the wings as we add more and more lift to try to keep this thing from descending any further. Of course, there's the beginnings of the spin and the stall. So, you know, I think you can clearly see that something that I think everyone sort of knows, but I don't know that I've ever heard anyone actually just say it, is on that glide path to the VASI and on the ILS, you know, you can't make it to the runway if the engine dies. So when we're flying VFR, that's totally inappropriate to be on final in a single engine without being able to make it to the runway. So that's why we use the sight picture of the runway rather than the visual guidance from the VASI or you know, getting on the same path as the ILS. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Schaefer.